Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Looking for Love in All the Wrong Dust Jackets, a show where three disgruntled harpies talk to you about everything we love in romance, whether that's books, movies, TV shows, whatever we like. My name's Liz.
I'm Danny.
I'm Wiggles.
And welcome to the episode. Today, we are talking about the movie Rye Lane. But before we do that, before we get into it all, I do have to warn you that we are crass and unhinged. We are very unladylike, which means we use all of the words in the vocabulary, especially them four-letter ones.
I have a lot of those.
And we talk about all of the naughty times, though there probably really isn't much of that today.
Yeah, no.
Anyway, you've been warned. So, Wiggles.
Mm-hmm. That's me.
What's some fun facts? What's some interesting stuff?
I got no fun facts. This movie's too new, too green. People haven't overanalyzed it yet. But I can tell you that this is Rain Allen Miller's debut film. Her film, not a film. This is Rain Allen Miller's debut film. And she's talked about essentially it being like a love letter to South London. She's compared it to For Sunrise, and including that at one point was kind of like the pseudo title to the script. And so, yeah, there's a lot of really positive thought behind the story. And yeah, that's what I've got for you. Take it away, Danny.
All right, so this movie is about two people. They kind of meet at a art gallery.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And the way that they meet is in a unisex bathroom because he is crying on the toilet because he has broken up with his girlfriend broke up with him. And it's been like 3 months, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm. But they did date for 6 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so they kind of get chatting and everything. And then she ends up accidentally getting him to buy a painting. She didn't really mean to, but it was a thing. And then they end up kind of going on a walk together and chatting about all their ugly shit. Or in her case, she made up stuff about how her relationship ended. And yeah, then they end up breaking into a house. Let's discuss.
Mm-hmm.
Is it breaking in if you get the key?
I think
still technically
is,
considered
yes.
breaking and entering.
I
Yeah.
suppose the owner does not approve of you being there.
Yeah, I think there's a consent factor at play. Overall, I have to say from the jump, this movie was visually very satisfactory. It was like a lot of really unique, well, not unique, but it didn't play into traditional shots for all of the film.
Mm-hmm.
It gave you a wide variety of color, both in the texture of clothing and the setting, and the lighting was gorgeous. And so even if you are like, I'm not really like feeling a rom-com, you can turn the volume off and get a really nice visual experience.
It was a nice visual experience. I don't know why this stuck out to me so much, but I really did enjoy the fact that his shoes were pink Converses.
Well, that was a needed factor because that's how she
Knew it was him crying in the bathroom
that's how
stall.
Yas knew it was him all the time. I actually have to disagree. I really disliked a lot of the different shots.
Oh.
There were some of them where they like zoomed in on Dom, the male main character, in a way that made me question, like, is this situation or this conversation happening? Is it something that he's exaggerating in his brain? It used a technique that's often used, like if you're having a conversation between two characters and all of a sudden the camera like zooms in super tight to that conversation. It makes it usually is supposed to signify that one of the characters is like over exaggerating the conversation or like having a false reaction or a false interpretation of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, I got really confused in the beginning with some of the conversations. I was like, are these happening or are these just Dom like tripping out a little bit?
I think that difference, though, the distinction that you're pointing out, that's how that's done a lot more in American media. But in British media, that's really played up for laughs. There's it's almost even kind of a reference to this show. I can't think of the name of it, but this like fishbowl sort of look. Yeah, that's that's a nod to other media that's very British. So like, yeah, that's a bit of a like culture miscommunication, I think there.
The other scenes I didn't like is when the camera was like almost laying on the ground and we would get like a really intense angle up to the characters, or they would be like way off to the left of the screen. And to me, I was like, I don't know what this is supposed to be conveying, but it just feels weird and I didn't like it.
I think it's supposed to feel weird. Like, I mean, obviously I'm not in the director's mind, right? But it felt to me like it's supposed to give you that sort of unsteady feeling of when you're meeting someone new that you are sort of feeling this like building connection with, where you're like, is it just me? Do you feel this way too? Am I crazy? Is it like, did I say the wrong thing? Are you with it? Oh, you're just joking. Okay. And so that like never really feeling steady, I think is an intentional choice by the director.
I can see that. I can see both sides. It didn't bother me. I also watch a lot of British TV shows and stuff. So I didn't notice the like odd camera angles or anything like that as much.
Yeah, I found them very unsettling, but not like in a, oh, this represents the relationship kind of way. Unsettling like in a, this is completely removing me from the story kind of way. I
mean, I know some of them were a little odd, but they weren't camera on a tennis ball odd.
No. That one was terrible.
No.
God.
That's a reference to the Challengers movie.
It's true.
Which
every time I
say Challengers movie, I think of Challenger the Rocket. And I'm like, nope, that's a different thing.
No,
but I'd watch that movie.
I don't think I'm emotionally ready. But getting back to this film, I will say that if you are an American approaching this film, you are going to have to like have an adjustment period. It is British and not in a super accessible way because it's not made for us, which, you know, as an American, we're not used to.
Well, I mean, that's true, but also like it, like you said, you know, it for the British audience, that fishbowl effect means something different than it does for the American audience. So as an American viewer, I was like, we are taught culturally that fishbowl like zoom in means one thing. And then it was just super confusing when that wasn't what was happening.
I will say I really liked the like transitions into how they like their past conversations and everything, when you could still see like Yas in the background and she's talking to him and everything. I loved those. I really enjoyed those.
I really liked the one where Yas was describing how she broke up with her boyfriend and Dom is like almost watching a play and he's sitting up in the box, and then there's all these different versions of him cheering for her decisions in the audience. Like that was, some of those were super fun.
Yeah.
I also really liked the like real clear neon sign of that moment of like, bro, this is staged.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Like, you're not getting the full picture.
I instantly was like, oh, she's lying her ass off about this.
Well, that's something that I found really difficult about Yas for me, is like, I know that, you know, over time of the movie, we were going to get to know her, and I did like her towards the end, but towards the beginning of the movie, I actually didn't like her. She came off of super like manic pixie to me. And I was just like really put off in the beginning for her as a character. I got there, I came around, but
that said, I did have the thought of like, hey, you know, it's nice to see a black manic pixie dream girl, because that's never the case. It's always a white woman, usually very tiny and petite, right? And so it was nice to have this representation that like didn't feel like it was just, we're going to force this like character caricature on somebody it doesn't fit, right?
Yeah.
Just so that we could have a black manic pixie dream girl. It was, this is the type of person she is, and you can love it, you can hate it, but that's who she is, right?
Well, and it gets explained a lot towards the end. I mean, not like overtly, but the way I interpreted that entire situation is she is purposefully being more extra because she's trying to counteract of how depressed and sad she is. And I mean, I've been there.
Same, girl. Same.
Well, and I think that there's something to be said about there's the distinction and difference that she has is not just that she is a black character who's got a different life experience, but also she's being written by a black woman.
Yeah.
Right. And so like there's a big difference between that and a white guy writing a manic pixie dream girl. Those aren't the same story.
No.
You know?
Yeah.
Because that's usually what it is. It's this idea of like, you're going to make my life 1,000,000 times better through your existence entertaining me, as opposed to I am projecting what I think you want because I just don't want to be alone anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing I really liked about Yas, like just surface level, is the way they dressed her.
Oh,
because
golf clap for that.
Right. She just looks like a regular human being wearing a coat, because this all takes place over the course of one day, except for like the last couple of scenes. So she's wearing a kind of larger coat, and the thing that I liked about it is you never really knew her size. Like in my head, she was kind of just like a mid-sized average person. Gorgeous. She's a beautiful actress.
Oh, she's stunning.
Oh, yeah.
But
her hair.
Oh my gosh, her hair is beautiful. But it just made her so real and approachable as a character.
Well, and also being a costume designer, you end up finding out that that's like her goal in life, in her backstory, and it shows through in little things like her having a very patterned blouse and having this like joy at seeing purple lavender shoes, so much so that she buys them immediately.
I wanted those shoes, though.
I wanted those shoes as well, and I don't like socks, so that said something.
You don't need to wear shoes or socks with tennis shoes. I mean, you should, but you don't need to.
Your feet get kind of stinky otherwise.
Yeah.
But like, it's also things like the like fluffy pink purse. Right? Like
that purse.
I did not identify her as a costume designer immediately, but as soon as they said that, I was like, tracks.
Yeah,
it makes sense. Yep.
Also, just her appreciating other people in the world's fashion choices. Like she'd flat out be like, "You look fire," you know, just to random people, and which shocked him. He's just like, "Do you know her?" No. And I fucking love people like that. You know how high you ride that high when somebody's just like, "Hey, your shirt's amazing."
Especially like a random person, because you're just like, "Oh, you went out of your way and like made sure to let me know that you liked what I was wearing or my hair or whatever."
It's my nails. I get compliments on my nails in random like stupid situations. I'm in the drive-thru. Your nails look amazing. I'm like, "Oh, well, I'm happy for the rest of the day."
Yeah, mine's usually my hair color, because right now I have pink hair.
Because your hair color is adorable.
Yeah, well, it needs.
I know it doesn't seem as much when it's me, but
it needs an update. I just need to figure out what I'm doing with it. Anyway,
and I also liked Dom in contrast. I loved his like dorky little green jacket. I was like, "Oh, so you're a nerd, okay?" But then he kind of had his own style too, like underneath the coat, which I love that both of them really did. That it wasn't just like we're gonna put them in something neutral. It really like defined what their character was. Like he's got this cute little shirt and his pink sneakers, and you're like, oh, you've kind of got a vibe going, and kind of got a style going. That's nice. And the same was true for Yas, and I think they did such a good job of picking out costumes for them that made them stand out, no matter where they were in these like very public places. And so we weren't ever trying to figure out like, where are they in the crowd?
But also they never felt like they stood out.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like they fit wherever they were. But you could always find her purple bag or him with his headphones on.
Right. Right. Well, and I also, with the contextualization of this is a love letter to South London, right? I really felt like we saw a lot of area that we're not often seen. Even if you watch a lot of British media, you're not seeing a lot of. So I really enjoyed that. I liked like the background. I liked going through the different shops, the playground, on this like almost like side quest they're on.
Yeah.
Which I thought was just really fun.
It was another one of those stories where a single day felt like an entire like epic quest.
Yes.
Especially because there were several quest markers, I guess, in the day. The first big one being after they get to know each other, being when they go meet Gia and Eric, I believe is his name.
Yes, because that was the whole thing that she decided to come with him, is because they want to meet him.
Well, and so backstory there is Gia is Dom's ex who cheated on him with his best friend Eric. I think his
from
name is-
primary school. Like they've been best friends forever.
Mm-hmm. And the way he found out is she was supposed to meet him at the movies, and he was early, and he FaceTime called her, and she was like, yeah, I'll be there in a second. And he realized that in the background of the FaceTime, which I think he accidentally like screenshot it,
which is so easy to do.
Yeah, it is. He saw a dick.
Pixelated dick.
A pixelated dick. And yet he still knew whose it was.
It's like, I know that dick. I'm pretty sure he even says that. He was like, I realized I know that dick.
Yep. And so now Gia wants to meet him. She wants to, let bygones be bygones. Which, you know what? Here's the thing. Fuck you.
You don't get to decide.
Oh, God, yeah. She's a bitch in this fucking movie.
Oh, fuck her.
Mm-hmm.
And fuck him too, but, like, to a lesser degree. He's so goddamn stupid.
That's really the big thing is, like, yeah, he's terrible, and I wouldn't forgive him, but he's also just real dumb.
He is so dumb.
Yas tries to get him to talk him into letting her go with him.
Yeah.
Because she's already like, oh, fuck no.
I get it. I was invested.
Yeah.
I'd be invested if I was her.
Oh, yeah. And he was like, no, it's fine. And then he's there sitting there for, I don't know, 2, maybe 3 minutes. And then she shows up, kisses him on the cheek, and is like, hi, babe, sorry I'm late and everything. Because she's like, no, you ain't doing this alone, bud.
Well, and we don't know it at the time, but it's definitely her going, if I had to do this, I would want someone on my side.
Uh-huh. And as it turns out, he needed her. I do wish she had maybe respected his privacy a little bit more.
Well,
but I understand the thought process behind what she did.
Yeah, that's kind of like the battle there is, did she overstep? Yes. Did he need her to? Also, yes.
Yeah.
So, like...
That's just life as an introvert dealing with extroverts, though.
Yeah,
that's true. There are definitely times where I've had Pappy has come in and been like, I'm doing this for you. And I'm like, and as it turns out, I needed this done for me.
Yeah, there was a lot of times, like, specifically in Dom's facial expressions that I felt like a kindred spirit there.
Yep.
Like his like shy little smiles, and then like I'm not really smiling, and then like smiling again. I was like, Dom, you gotta stop. You're
I don't need to
giving
be
your
called
whole
out this
story
hard.
away.
But also, his smile was very cute.
It was
was
so
so
cute.
He had a very nice smile.
He had a very
Sure
nice
did.
smile.
Oh my gosh. I found I spent like too much time, arguably, staring at his mouth. And that's probably not healthy, but it was cute. He's got a good smile, and he talks cute too. Like his like tone of voice is just so nice and mellow, and I'm like, would you consider maybe doing an audiobook, because I could fall asleep to that voice. But
the other physical attribute of his that I liked that we got to see, I'm sure there'll be more if we got to see more, you know what I'm saying? But I like the fact that he and Yas were the same height.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that, actually.
and he seemed in no way intimidated by it.
Yep.
Nope.
Which was real fucking nice and refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, the more I think about it as we're talking about it, the image of Candy Cane Lane keeps coming into my brain, of like, you know, you've got your like chocolate swamp and like peppermint forest and whatever, and like I feel like that's kind of what they were doing. Is they were going on this like little place card adventure.
Are you talking about Candyland?
Is that not what I said?
You said Candy Cane Lane, and
Oh.
both Liz and I looked at each other like, what the fuck is that?
I decided I would combine Rye Lane and Candyland.
You
I was
know?
just like, I was really trying hard, but I was like,
It's also the wackiest reference, but is accurate.
yeah,
Right?
it totally is.
Right? Like, it's like, oh no, you got an X forest and
The
you have to go
gumdrop
defeat
forest.
the X monster.
Right.
And it's like, oh no, now you've got to go deal with the aunties, right? Like, it's-
Oh, fuck, I loved the aunties.
they were great. I want to
were.
know everything about them. I want them to have their own movie, and I want them to just like assassinate people with their words on a regular basis.
Before
You
we
know that the guy, like, what his relation is to the aunties, who's to say? But you know that the guy that comes up with them when Dom gets caught is like, he has gray hair preternaturally. Like, he's earned every gray hair on his head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Before we get too much further into the aunties, I do want to go back to they have lunch. Well, they're supposed to have lunch together
Mhm.
with his ex,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to high fucking five her when she finally was just when she
Oh,
finally
yeah.
was like, "I'm sorry, you dumped this sweet, intelligent, goober nerd
Accountant,
accountant."
which means he's holding down a job. And you know what?
Hey,
That's
accountants
where the
make,
bar is.
accountants make good money too.
They can. They can.
For the dumbest person on the planet
Who can't hold down a job.
who can't hold down a job,
But the arms are nice.
but the arms are nice. And then she throws in there, and he swiped on me last week.
On Tinder, yeah.
It was a total lie. She admits that to Dom, but he didn't deny it either, which means he swipes on people.
Well, he did try to deny it, but also he's a dum-dum and we weren't listening to him too much.
Yeah.
Well, and the way he denies it makes it clear that he's been on there. He's like, I didn't swipe on her.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like, well, then who you been swiping on? He's like, oh, I didn't swipe on anybody. It's like, God damn, you're so dumb.
Like, I wanted to high five her when that happened. I
Yeah.
was like, fuck yeah, this woman is a bitch. The meeting should have never happened.
No, but the thing is like, and Yaz pointed it out quite a bit in not a nice way sometimes,
Yeah.
but Dom's just a bit of a doormat.
He is.
He is. He's absolutely a doormat. That is a big pet peeve for me when people break up, is when they try to do that. Oh, well, let's have a post-mortem on the relationship because they want to make themselves feel better.
Well, yeah,
Fuck you. You don't get to feel better about this situation. You
That's the
cheated
whole-
on them.
That's the whole thing that Gia wants. It's not to make Dom feel better.
Yeah.
Or to like repair Dom and Eric's friendship. It's just to make herself feel better, and also like not because she's like fake being nice, and also to be like, look at me, I'm happy in this relationship. Oh, poor Dom, he's single and sad.
Yeah. I fucking hate that move so much. It's so passive aggressive and assholey.
Yeah.
It does nothing for anybody.
Well, you know that she didn't really want Dom to feel better because as soon as Yaz showed up, she got all pissy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it's part of this thing that has taken over public consciousness right now, which is everybody needs to be a pseudo-therapist. And
Right.
so they have in their head that they're like, see, I'm just looking out for his well-being. I'm like making sure that he's okay. And it's like, nah, bro,
No.
you're not. You're being a dumb bitch, like, who just wants to look like they're doing the right thing, but not actually do the right thing. The right thing would have been to break up with him when you realize things weren't working.
Yeah.
Yeah. The right thing is to break up with him and then leave him the fuck alone.
Yeah.
That whole like, oh, but I need to check on him because
Well,
I still care situation. No, go fuck yourself. You no longer get that option.
Mhm.
I love when Yaz calls her out because she does exactly that. She uses the language of, I just wanted us all to be together living in our truth. And she's like, yeah, and your truth is that you cheated on this great guy to go be with this meathead.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's your truth. And she doesn't like let her off the hook. And it's so appreciated.
I love that the minute she sat down, she goes, oh, this is pixelized dick.
Mhm.
I was like, yes, You
Yeah.
came in hot, but I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that like I like about Yaz, which is another like super hyper realistic thing. I mean, we saw it in Flawless with Summer. Is she's this is my interpretation of it. Is she seems so like strong at sticking up for other people, and yet completely fails at sticking up for herself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's one of those things where we're not taught that sticking up for yourself is a virtue in the same way that sticking up for someone else is.
Yeah.
And so it's not a trained behavior you're usually going to have. And so, you know, especially as women, we're taught you have to be constantly considerate of other people's feelings and all of that.
Mhm.
Versus guys are told to toughen up, right?
That's also a big thing in the Midwest. And I didn't need you to come for me that hard. Fuck off.
Yeah.
The toll comes for us all. But moving on to the fun stuff, because after they get done with that interaction, they have definitely gotten to a point where they are fully in each other's corners. Like, Yaz had a lot of fun being able to kind of say the things that she wished she could say to her own ex.
Yeah.
And he got to, like, have his ex put in her fucking place. So after that, it's really where the like comedy of it all comes in. I mean, there's some of it early on, but like that's where it starts. Like, this is just fun for a while.
Well, the pacing of the movie significantly improves as well, because
Yes.
I'll be honest with you, up until that scene I was kind of bored with the movie.
Same.
Sure.
Very
But-
much so.
But then we get the aunties. Well, we get the story of her breaking up with her ex, or at least the story she tells Dom at that point. And then they are going to go get her old record back because her ex still has it locked up in his place.
Even though it was a lie, I really did like the motto of "if you make the hummus, you get the head." I was like, great. That's a great motto to live by.
It doesn't seem like it's applicable in a lot of situations, but
You know,
You know, we could make it applicable in a lot
you
of
make
situations.
the hummus, you get the head.
oh gosh.
Yeah.
That's only the really like spice we get in the entire movie is that she, in this fake breakup scene, starts to give him a blowjob.
And like not even gets that far.
Yeah, no.
No.
And then she pours hummus on his dick.
Very loose hummus too.
Yeah, it was,
I was-
very loose.
I was confused about that as well. I was
It's
like,
very
why
cottage cheesy.
why your hummus just loose? You put too much oil in it?
Yeah.
Are we hummus snobs?
Apparently.
Apparently. Oh gosh.
But that was another example, kind of getting back to what I was talking about earlier, where the lighting was just on fucking point. I loved it. Like the way they used color in their lighting to like really just like highlight a scene. I was like, yes, more movies can do this.
Also, can we talk about his apartment? What is he paying for? Hot damn.
Her ex's apartment?
Yeah.
I don't know, because I don't know how the prices in London, specifically South London, work, but
Damn, that had to be an expensive place, though. It's huge
mhm.
and gorgeous in a very modern way.
In a very like, we took this crappy space and then left like the crappiness of it, but like it's modern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because like it didn't have a bedroom. The bed was just like tucked in a corner with some sheets, curtains.
I will say her, like, fantasy version of it and the real version, two completely separate places.
Well, yeah, because one
Yeah.
was on a stage.
And
Well,
one has
yes.
better lighting.
Yes.
But it is interesting to me when they do finally break in and you see how everything is set up, that no part of it feels like she ever lived, and not in the way of like, oh yeah, they broke up, he got rid of all of her stuff, yada yada yada. It just like looks like she was there for a minute and not a year.
I don't think she did live there.
She didn't. That was the whole thing. Is
Yeah.
they were dating way longer than him and his new girlfriend, and his new girlfriend just moved in, and Yaz never got to even leave her tampons there.
Because apparently that grossed him out.
But little Miss Thing can leave a menstrual cup sitting right in front of the bathroom mirror.
Which apparently they call moon cups.
Yeah.
Never heard of that in my life.
Yeah.
That's way cooler than Diva Cup, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me, I guess, but
I mean, I don't use them either way, but
Yeah,
you know.
I don't either.
No.
So
Although, if I walked into somebody's house and went to the bathroom and their cup was just out, I would be like, I'm not coming to this house anymore. Like,
It was clean. It's not like it was a dirty cup.
Still, that's like, that would be the equivalent of like leaving your underwear, even if they're clean, on the floor when somebody comes to your house. That's not right. It's not right. Mm-mm.
Fair enough.
Anyway, I don't have any.
Well, we're kind of skipping ahead in the story here because we go visit the aunties before we go to his apartment.
Oh, yes. They want to get the key to his apartment, so they go to his auntie's house.
His mother's house.
Yes, his mother's house. Sorry.
Two mothers'.
Mother's.
Plural? Moms?
Yes,
Plural.
his moms. Both moms.
Yeah.
He was raised by both women.
Oh, I was going to say that also, I've never been to South London. I have no real frame of reference here, but it felt like it gave us an entirely different perspective into this world because we got this like really cool backyard barbecue situation.
Oh, I would so hang out with that, and I am a introvert.
Yeah,
I would just be like, I'm going to sit here and eat the delicious food because it looked good
it did.
and hang out.
My favorite part of that whole sequence was Tom just getting fucking roasted about what was on his phone for music. And like he had just been like chatting up this old guy about like, oh yeah, we listen to I listen to all this like really cool music, and then it's all just sad breakup music. And then, as if that wasn't funny enough, they got the like tough guy to be like, let it play out.
Let it play out.
Right.
And he sings along with it.
I was like, yes, this is the kind of British humor I came here for.
I do like that they made it feel super awkward because I've been in those situations where you're like, I don't know any of you people, and I've just been left alone at a get together, and I feel hella weird and really uncomfortable.
And I should not be here.
Right.
But here I am indeed.
I love that they knock on the door and she is instantly enveloped in hugs. They fucking love her. She still calls them aunties, even though they've been broken up for quite a while now, haven't they?
I don't know.
It's at least 3 months because I think that's how long the new girlfriend and him have been dating, and she just moved in.
Well, I know that Dom's broken up with his girlfriend for 3 months.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's like
6 months maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know exactly how long, but long enough that the other girl has moved in and everything. But the aunties are just like, yes! And then the instant they see him, they're like...
Right? They're like, we're judging you starting right now. So
I felt that judgment immediately. I would be like, and I'm going to shrivel up into a ball and die now.
Well, at some point, there's a conversation where they're trying to convince Yas to go back with X, which is also like, he's dating a new chick.
Yeah.
Who
But clearly they don't like her.
Or don't even know that it's happening. One of the two.
I also like, so eventually Yaz's plan to find the key doesn't work out. So Dom's like, I got the in. I'm going to go check it out. I got the down low from this guy here, right? And he just is getting all up in their panties. And that's what, of course, when he gets caught, because they're talking to Yaz and they're like, what's going on with him? And she's like, oh, nothing. I found him crying in the bathroom. He's like, hey! It's like, you got no chill, dude. But either way, he gets caught and we don't get to know how that goes down. All you get is like a flash forward to them leaving and Yaz turning to Dom and going, well, that got real. What happened in that house?
Apparently it wasn't too bad though, because then
they give them the scooter.
they tell Yaz where to go find a key because apparently they don't have it. Mm-hmm. So, the quest continues.
Right? Oh, and then they have to what is the character's name?
Mona.
Then they have to go track down Mona, who is, I swear, I know this person. Like, I have met this person in my life, and I'm like, you chaos gremlin, are you just like a shapeshifter and you show up in random places? Because this is you. So as soon as Mona was like, sure, I'll give you the key, but you got to earn it with some really awkward karaoke, I was like, God damn. That's exactly what they would do.
We do have friends that would do that to us.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which is a flashback because that was the fake story that they told Gia and Eric of how Yaz and Dom met,
mm-hmm.
which is that they did karaoke together.
And
Yes.
by flashback, you mean callback.
Callback.
Whatever. Yeah. Whatever.
And Yaz decides she cannot do it, and up Dom goes.
Which I really liked her character starting to, I don't want to say break down, but like show more of her true self and like
Mhm.
the pain and also just like uncomfortable nature that
Mhm.
she's been hiding.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it's also nice to see Dom being like, look, she did this thing for me. She stood up
Yeah.
for me. I can do this for her. Granted, hers are a little more breaking and entering situations.
Look,
But
don't entrust your key to a guy who's going to then give the key out to anybody he finds interesting.
I mean, the like big thing was like, well, what if you start shitting in their sinks? And then eventually it was like, well, I don't
Like-
get the free entertainment of being able to go shit in someone's sink.
Yeah.
So and it was like, wait, do you want them to or not? Like, I'm getting very mixed.
it was very
signals.
confused.
Yeah.
I don't get the option to watch you shit in people's sinks, and you're like, but
You just said no.
Mona, what do you want?
Just wants a little bit of crazy entertainment.
I also love that. So when they then get the key from Mona after she does come up and join him singing the song because he is tanking.
Yeah.
Super bad. It was
Hey.
also not inappropriate, but it was just not a great song for him to do.
No.
Well, even when they're like doing their best at it, they're both off tune.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, that's karaoke for
Yep,
you.
sure is.
But apparently they were still better than everybody else because the crowd was getting into it,
Yep.
which is
Yes.
also karaoke.
Yeah,
Yep.
nope,
Oh, look,
yep.
you're moderately decent. Well, that's
Woo!
nice. That's a nice change of pace.
Yeah.
But then they go break into the house to get the record.
Yeah.
And she puts on the new girl's underwear over her pants, which honestly I found quite a bit hilarious, and finds the Diva cup
Yeah.
on the right in front of the bed. It's an awkward place to put it. I still don't understand why it's there.
Yeah. I can understand if it's like in a drawer, but why is it sitting right on the counter there?
Like eye
That's
level
what I'm
with
saying.
you.
It's inappropriate. I'm not going to their house anymore.
They
but-
didn't invite you over.
So she takes the
That's
Diva
true.
cup, which I also would not have touched it. But she takes it and then puts it in his rice in the fridge
Also, why are you putting rice in the fridge
with no cover over
Uncovered.
it. Yeah.
uncovered?
Well, this man is clearly a heathen. I
Yeah.
mean, that's clear, right? Like the way his life is being led, he's more concerned about really ugly art sculptures he's made
Oh yeah.
than he is about anything else. Heathen behavior.
It's true. So they're having this conversation about the underpants and everything, and then they come home, and so then they're hiding, and she's still sit with these underpants on over her clothes.
Yeah. Ex and new girlfriend were supposed to be on vacation,
Mm-hmm.
and they were, but they just happened to come home right then.
Because movie magic.
Movie magic. What I don't understand is when Dom and Yaz finally realize that they're going to get caught, so they just like come out of where they were like hiding behind a curtain. Yaz didn't take the underwear off,
I know.
I
I
would-
would have instantly taken that off.
right?
I mean, I guess her pants looked like they were kind of swishy, so maybe she thought like if she like moved around too much, they'd hear her.
I guess, but those
I mean,
those
yeah,
panties
but-
were also just pure lace. Just rip them at that point.
It's true,
Yeah, but now you've destroyed a woman's panties, and that's not what you came here to do.
isn't it?
But isn't it?
You got me there.
But that is when it's revealed that how she broke up with him, because the person who makes the hummus gets the head, is not what happened.
No. Instead, she was brutally dumped, and the way he says it is like so. Ugh, I wanted to punch him in
Oh,
the
I
dick.
wanted to punch him so
He was
bad.
like, I actually kind of felt guilty about the way things went down, but now I don't at all. And I'm like, punch him in the dick. Do it.
He definitely deserved it.
I wanted him to be punched in the dick. At the same time, I'm like, they did just break into his home.
That's
Yeah.
true.
I mean, he has every right to be upset right now.
Mhm.
But
He also didn't want to give the record back.
yeah, that's a
Which is
bullshit
like a
thing.
weird flex. Like, you don't. They even talk about like he doesn't even like that music.
Right.
Yeah, he just doesn't want her to have it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I completely believe that he's just that asshole who doesn't want her to have what she wants.
Right. Is this also the scene where Dom like actually sticks up for Yaz when he says, when the ex is like, she's crazy, she's gonna ruin your life?
It is.
It is.
And Dom's
yes.
like, yeah, today was the best day of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Which was very sweet.
It was very sweet. I do love that he pointed out too that he's like, I rode on a moped, your mother's moped, and I was like,
I also love that he's so confused in that moment. He doesn't know whether to be angry or like to be like, what the fuck are you doing with my mom's moped? Like,
Right.
he's just like, what? What do you mean? Yeah, that whole sequence, while it was sad, it was also one of the funniest things in the movie, because it was Three Stooges level of bumbling going on.
Yes.
oh yeah,
And I enjoyed it quite a bit.
he's still looking through the records to get it.
He's like, hey.
Hey, he's stealing our stuff. No, I'm taking what belongs to Yaz.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're gonna leave, and they're like, no.
I also like that I had no idea where that scene was going to end. Like the
No.
entire time I'm like, are they going to get the record? Is this guy going to call the police? Is somebody going to punch somebody? What's happening?
Is she gonna take the panties off?
Right.
Well, I like that the only reason she does is that the current girlfriend is like, and you've stretched them out now, so.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, well, she's like, this is our safe space, and you've come into it. I don't know. I found she embraced her few minutes in this movie and was like, I know what to do.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
She made me hate her. So
Yeah.
good on her.
But yeah, then after that we get the third act breakup real swift, because rather than
lied to
just
him.
own up to what she has done, Yaz does a lot of like equivocating and deflecting,
Yeah.
and all the things that you do when you're caught.
Yep.
Which, like, the fact that she lied about the breakup, like, is that really a big deal? It's not, especially because you guys just met.
I was gonna say she barely knows you. She
Literally-
wanted to see a better version of what happened.
Right. She didn't want to tell a complete stranger. But to his point, he's like, but you kept badgering me to tell you about my breakup when I didn't want to say it either.
And got up all in my business.
Yeah.
Well, but she also makes a good point. She's like, I barely had to ask. She barely started asking, and he just launched into the story wholeheartedly.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those, like, you guys don't know each other, so none of this, like, I get why you're upset, but also nobody's really in the wrong here.
Yeah.
Well, and I think if Yaz had just like owned it in that way,
Yeah.
there wouldn't have been a problem.
Yeah.
Right? She could have just said like, yeah, I'm sorry, I did do that. I didn't know you, didn't feel like you needed this information, but you're right, that is unfair.
Well, and she just escalated the situation by doing all that deflecting.
Yep. One thing about her getting all up in his business and about not trying that hard is that her opening line to him outside of when they're in the bathroom and he's crying is she finds his pink shoes and goes up to him and is like, "Are you good?" And he's like, "Yeah, why wouldn't I be?" And she's like, "But are you good?" Because like you were just crying in the bathroom, and so I think it's really great that it wasn't that it was just this like person blundering into his life. It was, well, you kind of opened the door and then we're like, don't come in.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so later on, after they've like broken up, if you will, she's debating texting him. He's kind of going back and forth about texting her, and it's like it feels like they kind of came back around to that beginning part where the door is open, but you don't really know how to like go through the doorway.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that she is wanting to text him, but not wanting to at the same time.
Right.
And what she types out is, "What the fuck just happened?"
Which, honestly, fair.
Yeah.
Because that was
Yeah.
a wild ride that they were on.
But I also do appreciate that in this third act breakup, they did growing.
Mm-hmm.
They moved on. She took her interview for a costume design thing. She got her job. He moved out of his parents' house because he had been living with his girlfriend, so he got kicked out of the house basically that he had been living in. So he was living in his parents' house again.
Yeah.
And his mom is compulsively making him soft-boiled eggs and soldiers.
Which I thought was little sausage links, but it's not. It's pieces of toast.
Yes.
British people have interesting names for things. I'm going to leave it at that.
But so after he spends a little time, you know, just gaming and eating soft-boiled eggs and soldiers over and over and over again, he's like, okay, I'm going to find an apartment. It's time to, like, pick myself up. And I really appreciated that they did those things separately, because it's not implying that, oh, you have to have a relationship to do these things. It's no, you need to stand on your own 2 feet in order to end up in a healthy relationship.
Well, that's the big thing, right? Like, being in a relationship, yeah, you're not going to be perfect going into it, but you also, like, need to be your own person and to take care of your own shit instead of, and they weren't putting it on somebody else, but they were actually using each other to avoid taking care of their own shit. Because the day that they're spending together, Yas is supposed to be going to an interview and, like, completely cancels it, almost using him as an excuse and hang out with him as his excuse.
And she tries to use him as an excuse when she brings it up during their fight. And he's like, why the fuck would you do that?
Yeah.
Right. One of the other things I really like about this movie too is you get almost no actual insight into who these people they're interacting with are, and so you get the sense that you're getting, like, a very surface level interpretation of who they are. So yes, the meathead probably is in real life a meathead, but he's also clearly must have some good qualities that he's been friends with Dom for this long, right?
Right. And is he the one who helps Dom move?
He is.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Right? And, like, there's the artist who is the mouth artist at the beginning and then is the butt artist at the end with his photography. Like, you don't get to know anything about him. He's just kind of portrayed as this, like, very zany, out of the box kind of guy, but who's really just in it for the money, right? And so, and that's kind of the cursory level of information that we get about everybody. And what it does in turn is it makes everything that Yas and Dom do, no matter how subtle, seem important and relevant to what's happening, and shows that they're choosing to be, with a few exceptions, pretty real with each other. So what you realize is that, yes, Yas lied to sort of bolster her fake story of the breakup to not have to feel like she's the person who was wallowing for weeks and weeks, right? But other than that, you're seeing the real Yas.
Absolutely.
Well, and I like the fact that with Yas, the other thing I got from her lying isn't just like, oh, I don't want to be depressed anymore. It's also, I don't want to have somebody that knows that about me. You know, like, because she talks about this thing happened and where her boyfriend broke up with her, and then she was, like, creeping on his new girls, like, pictures on Facebook or something, and accidentally liked something from years ago. And so then Yaz's ex, goes to all of their friends and says that she's, like, stalking them, and all of their friends believe him except for the one friend, Cassie, I believe her name is, it's something similar to that, who's dating Nathan, the artist photography bro.
Right.
So, like, I can totally understand being like, I just don't want to have another person know this really shitty story and judge me the way every other person did.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm sorry, who hasn't Facebook stalked an ex's new person?
Yo, I Facebook stalk so many people. Like,
Like, she wasn't standing outside their bedroom or anything. She was just doing a little cyber stalking. We're all a little guilty of it, especially when we're sad.
Yeah. Or curious.
Or curious.
Wow.
I will say, going back to her friend Cass, we get, again, a very cursory, like, glimpse of her, but I find her fucking hilarious at the end.
Yeah.
When she's like, just so you know, that picture of that butt, that's me. That's me. And she's just, like, going around everybody. And she gets to Dom and she's like, you want to look at it? And he's like, no, I don't want to invade your privacy like that. And she's like, look at my butt, Dom.
It's got magical powers.
It's got magical powers.
Up.
It'll cheer you up.
By the way, was Gia at that?
She was.
Yeah. And she says something about,
Where's Yas?
Yas?
You guys seemed so perfect for each other.
Well, and it's like half snotty, but honestly is half like her being honest,
Yeah.
I think, which makes it worse.
I know. I
Because
just want
she's
to punch
like
her.
digging in like, you fucked this up too. Pretty rude. Pretty fucking rude.
And then we get to the grand gesture, which is a callback.
It
Because
is.
part of the reason that she said that she had been realizing that they maybe weren't the greatest together. And again, this is hindsight is 2020. She was lying to him, but he was constantly making super judgy remarks about shit. And one of the things he made a remark about was because she waved at people on boats.
And he didn't want to wave to people on boats. But it's also a callback to Dom and Gia's relationship when for their anniversary, he rented out the restaurant that they had their first date on, which was like a diner or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't like the like super let's get dressed up romantic candlelight dinner, but it was
it's
also
cute.
It was also really cute.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want to date, and I'm like, that's adorable.
But Gia hated it,
I know. Fuck her.
and Yaz was like, I want to do that.
Right. And I think, you know, if not that this is the kind of movie where like at the end of it, like the moral of the story is, but I think the takeaway you're supposed to have in that moment is if you're the person that you want to do nice things for doesn't like the kind of nice things you want to do, it's probably not a good fit.
Right.
You know, if when you're at your best, they're not seeing you as being at your best, that's not great.
There is this, and it's a very like aw moment, is she calls him, and when he answers, he seems so happy to be answering her call.
The other thing I love is, so when Yaz calls Dom, like you said, in Dom's phone, it's Yaz, parentheses, nuggets by candlelight, which is like a joke she made based on that grand gesture. I was like, oh man, that's real cute.
It is.
Right.
I also thought that the grand gesture was hilarious because it was a really bad grand gesture.
It was
Oh,
poorly
so
planned out.
fun.
There's nothing about this that was gonna work. She was like, I didn't think about where this was going.
I don't know.
I
where this
just
is
got on a
going.
boat. I don't know what its route is, but you know, I can see that you're gesturing, waving is hopefully what you're doing from the window.
I knew you were waves at boats, people.
Yeah.
And really, like, how much of a grand gesture is it? All she did is got on a boat that was going to be sailing, or not sailing, whatever, moving past where the art gallery was. So she just called him so he could look out the window and see her on a boat. Like, I mean, as far as grand gestures go, it's not that grand.
No, and it's kind of weird, honestly, because it's like, well, now that you got my attention, we can't do anything about it because you're all the way over fucking there, and I got to find a way to get to where this boat is stopping.
It was one of my favorite moments where he's like, stay there, and she's like, I'm on a boat.
I don't really have much choice here.
I go where the boat goes.
But it really, as far as grand gestures go, it was very much indicative of their relationship. Like, it was funny.
Well, and that's honestly the best and most important part of being in any relationship is if your weird matches the other person's weird. So if you guys both think this is a cute grand gesture, then great. Good
then
on
it
ya.
is. It's a
Yeah.
cute
Yep,
grand
and
gesture.
it sure is. It was poorly thought out, but I loved it.
If it works for you, then it works, you know?
Your guys' weird matches my weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wiggles, you know exactly where I realized your weird matches my weird.
Listen, that wasn't my fault. I was manipulated by alcohol and confusing things.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So that about sums up this movie. And one might say that it's ratings time o'clock.
A clock now.
Yeah.
We're
Oh.
adding the o'clock to it.
You know, I got to keep it interesting.
So what's y'all's spice rating?
I mean, it basically has none.
Yeah, it's
There's
0.
some cute kisses.
Yep.
I'll give them that. They got chemistry for sure. But that's it.
Yeah.
There's a fake approximation of giving head.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know.
And you didn't even want that man to
Mm-mm.
get head.
No.
There is a lot of pictures of butts, but it's not in a spicy way.
No,
Yeah, no.
it's like it's definitely giving Love Actually, with the Santa hats and shit. I feel like, which I can't believe we got through this whole movie and I didn't even address the guac actually.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we didn't even touch on
So they're going through all these shops, right? And they get to this like Mexican restaurant, presumably, called Guac actually.
Yeah.
Guactually. I don't know how you would pronounce it, but either way, she goes up and she says, "Oh, we'll have like 2 of these, Colin." And he's like, "Oh, Colin's just a name." And then he looks up and it's Colin Firth.
Yeah.
Yep. Staring at them.
Just so disimpassioned by everything. And he's like, Dom's like, whoa, like, how spicy is this? And he's like, Colin Firth comes at him with, "Do you like spicy food?" And Dom says no, and so he goes, "Then it's an 8," and just starts pouring the food in anyway.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, "I'm not stopping what I'm doing for you."
That actually reminds me of a point that I was going to make earlier, which is, so when Dom is telling Yaz about his breakup with Gia, right? So he's in the movie theater and he's like, "I was getting the concessions. You don't understand. This girl likes her concessions, very specific." And then we get the very specific order. Like, the ice has to be 1 inch exactly, and like all of this. But then we get to that scene and he's ordering his burrito and he's being like overly chatty and specific and asking questions about these burritos. And I'm like, was your girlfriend picky about the concessions or was it you, bro?
I
Right.
think it was him.
Yeah.
I think he used that as an excuse, the way a lot of men do.
Anyway, so spice. I'm gonna give it a 0. I can't even say that those kisses are a half a spice.
Yeah,
No.
I give it a 0 as well.
Well, I'll maybe give it half a spice.
Okay.
Just because some of those kisses were cute. They were real cute.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Wiggles.
I feel like it's, let's be fair.
Fair's fair.
Fair is fair.
Well, just because it doesn't have spice doesn't mean it's bad.
No, but I don't think, I think there are definitely movies that have less, so it can't quite be a 0.
All right.
All right.
All right. Romance.
I'm gonna go with a 2.5 because it's cute and they're like butting up against what a potential romance could be, but that's the key word there, potential.
Yeah, I,
You know?
I agree, though, with the 2.5, because it doesn't really go into, like, a full relationship, except for maybe the grand gesture at the end.
Right.
Mhm.
I was gonna give it a 2.
Mm-hmm.
So
All right.
I mean, for the same reasons. I don't
Yeah.
know. That's just the 2 felt right, and that's
It's
what I'm
the
sticking
spark
with.
of it.
Yeah.
You know, we rate on vibes.
We
and
do.
So it is what it is.
Your overall rating.
I really liked this movie. I want to give it another watch. I don't want to watch it right away. I would love to watch this again in like 6 months or a year and enjoy it again. So for me, this was a 4. I would definitely watch it again. And I think for a movie that is trying to reinvigorate a genre that people keep saying is dead, I got to give it up to them. They created something that was creative and it played into our expectations of a rom-com while not always meeting them, but not in a negative way. I hope that makes sense.
No,
If
I
it doesn't,
get it.
then too bad. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm so torn, because here's the thing. I didn't dislike the movie, but I was incredibly bored by it at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I did like some of the film choices. I liked the like shifting perspective, and they're like watching it while telling them it and everything. I don't know.
What's your vibe?
Maybe a 3.
Okay, there you go. Rated on vibes.
So I was also feeling a 3, just because, and maybe in retrospect, those things that I disliked can be explained away by being an American watching a British film. So I'll bump it up to a 3.5 for that, because it just took me really long to get into that movie. Some of it maybe was it didn't move very fast in the beginning, and some of it was just I could not get behind the camera choices.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you explained to me why that was, and so I feel better.
Sometimes you just need that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, especially if it's like, no, it's you just don't get it, and I'm like, okay, I don't get it, and that's fine.
Sometimes it's okay to just be like, this wasn't for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, sometimes some jokes that go over your head, they go over your head for a reason. They're not for you.
That's fine. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I kind of have that mentality, I think, too, just in general, going into British media, is that they're going to be some jokes that I don't get, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine, because I shouldn't. It's not about people in my country with our particular set of circumstances.
Right. I think that's why it makes it hard, though, to rate something, like in the sense of like, how many stars do I get it? Because it's like, do I not like it because it was a choice that I don't like, or do I not like it because I just don't get it?
Sure.
I don't know. So that's why I landed at 3.5.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Recommendations time now.
Woohoo! So my recommendation is going to be actually not a rom-com really at all. Comedy, yes, but not much romance in this story. And it's just, you can watch the American version, you can watch the British version. Both are great in their own way. But Death at a Funeral is amazing. Originally a British film, but there's also a really great American version. The humor is reflective of the different styles of humor for each country, but yeah, highly recommend. This kind of was giving me that vibe in terms of pacing, in terms of setups and for the jokes. So yeah, I think if you liked this, you would have a good time watching those movies.
Okay. I was going to recommend Love at First Sight. It's a movie that we did a podcast episode on. Go listen to it. It's wonderful. It's a very good movie. Pacing is very similar, and they basically, two people meet in an airport, and they end up on the same flight together. They like talk all of the flight because it's a flight from the U.S. to London, so it's a very long flight, and end up so she's going to her father's wedding. He is going to his mother's celebration of life. She's not dead, but she's dying. And she realizes that he maybe needs her in this moment. So she kind of does her little side quest to go see him. And they kind of end up having a big fight because they don't really know each other. They've known each other for a day. So kind of similar situations where you end up in each other's shit when you don't know each other that well.
Yeah. A lot of similarities in the like story and plot for sure. I'm going to recommend a book. I'm going to recommend The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory. Thank you. And it's more for like the first half of the book because the premise is these two meet randomly in an elevator, and he is going to his ex's wedding. And so she agrees to be his date. And so it kind of has that like meet cute vibe. And also we're like in this weird situation together against our exes. Then the book progresses to them like working towards a real relationship, but that first kind of premise really feels like this story.
Awesome.
Now,
we're really bad about remembering to do this, so I'm gonna say it now at the end of the episode.
Oh, are you?
But you can find Rye Lane on Hulu.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
We're terrible at that.
We're
so
terrible at
that. So if you want to check that out, that's where you can find it. I'm pretty sure it's exclusive to Hulu, at least in the States. So there you go.
To be fair, though, all of these movies like switch around streaming platforms so much. They like come and go, and all of a sudden a new one has one. So
yeah, it's true.
Anyway. Well, folks, that's the end of the episode. If you like this episode, find us out there on the socials at Wrong Dust Jackets, primarily on Instagram and TikTok, but you can find us out on YouTube and kind of pretty much every place. Also, you can go to our website at wrongdustjackets.com to find a list of previous episodes, upcoming episodes, our blog posts, a whole bunch of stuff there. And we would appreciate it if you gave us 5 stars, a like, a comment, whatever you can do on whatever app you are listening to us on. That would help us so much. It would help us in the algorithms and also just make me smile. Anyway, that's all I got. Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I was like, Danny, you have to go before
like,
her. There's a thing.
Bye.
I panicked.